Hi there, students. To submit and to surrender. Also, we have a noun, a submission, the submission of somebody and the surrender of somebody. Let's see, this is talking about giving up control. This is talking about letting somebody else make the decision. This is the act of letting go of control. But let's see, I think the contexts are different. For example, surrender is something that we normally see in a military context. The defenders of the fort finally surrendered, having defended for 2 weeks. To surrender, to put your hands up, to say, I surrender, to give yourself up to your enemy, to stop fighting and admit defeat. In the Alamo, they decided that they would rather die than surrender to the enemy. Okay, so this is to surrender. I think we can also use to surrender to give something over with other meanings. Whereas to submit, if you have perhaps two wrestlers, two people wrestling, and one has the other in an impossible, in a very painful position, the person who's clearly losing submits. They tap the ground twice to submit. So submission is allowing another person to have authority over you. It may be unwillingly, but it's clear that the position is untenable. Okay, I protested about the changes. I really didn't like the changes, but finally I had to submit. The only option instead of submitting was to resign, to leave, to go elsewhere. Okay, so I think submit is a struggle between two people, and one person submits, one person accepts or gives the authority to another to yield. Whereas to surrender, you stop resisting, you give up. The general demanded the unconditional surrender of the enemy. So when you surrender, you end up going into a prisoner of war camp. You become a prisoner of the enemy. Now we can also use surrender to give possession or control of something, often because it is demanded or you're compelled. They surrendered the city to the enemy. They gave possession of it. Or in the underground, I surrendered my seat to an old lady, to give up voluntarily for somebody else. Or to surrender, to abandon, to give up, surrender all hope. To resign oneself to an emotion. He surrendered himself to grief and started crying and wailing. And then to submit, you give something to the authority. You submit your essay to the teacher for the teacher's opinion. You submit your ideas to your boss to present something for the consideration or judgment of another person. To offer a proposition, I submit that the terms of this contract are unreasonable. So I think it's giving over. To submit, you are recognizing the authority of someone else, that there is no other way to do it. You could allow yourself to be subjected to something, to submit to drug testing. Let's see, this comes from Latin, submittere, sub, under, and mittere, to cause, to send. To surrender, surrendre, from Old French, rendre, to deliver, to deliver on, and that's I think that's the idea, to give something over. So surrender, you're giving up, giving something yourself into the power or the control or the possession of another. To hand over, to yield a town or a fortification to the enemy, to surrender the city, to put up the white flag and say, I surrender, to give yourself as a prisoner. You could give up a possession or a privilege, to surrender a right or a privilege or an advantage. You surrender yourself to an influence or an emotion or a passion. I surrendered myself to sleep. Okay, so to surrender, you surrender an insurance contract before the end of its term and hope to get some money back for it. To submit, to give way to another, to let another person go first, to yield to another when you are defeated. And here this is very close to the idea of surrender. You could submit plans for approval, put forward, I submit my doctoral thesis, to submit, to put something through a process. He submitted to testing. Okay, so to submit and to surrender. I think I'm going to give both of these words a 5 in formality. Okay, so submit and surrender. Bye for now.